Kareem Ray, your host at the One Soccer Nation podcast, where we explore the vibrant world of soccer through the eyes of the most influential figures. Today, we're thrilled to have Barry Maddox, a distinguished figure in the soccer community and the Chief Marketing Officer and brand consultant at Football Flick, the world's #1 soccer skills training range. Barry has an impressive track record in marketing and brand strategy, and I'm eager to dive into the journey and insights into the world of soccer marketing and player performance enhancements. Barry, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me, Kareem. I'm excited to have a chat with you this afternoon.
Absolutely. So can you share with our audience, how did you get involved in the beautiful game?
So for me, it's a bit of a potted history with soccer. So I spent the first kind of 10 or 15 years of my career in brand and marketing consultancies. And I've always loved football, so I'm a big Manchester United fan, which is not great at the minute. But I've always loved football, and I had that marketing background, and I left my last agency, and a few days later, the CEO of Flick phoned me up. We were friends from years before that, and said, "Look, are you interested in coming on board with Flick? We have an opportunity." So I think there was a little bit of the stars aligning to make that all happen. But I've always been around sports. I've been around sports brands, have helped develop sports brands through my career. So when the opportunity to get really in depth into the world of soccer came about, it was something that I really had to grab with both hands. And it's been 3.5 years now with Flick, and certainly it's a hugely exciting period for soccer, certainly in the US at the minute. It's great to be involved in it.
Absolutely. You guys the last time we spoke, you said that you guys recently expanded out to the US from the UK.
Yeah, that's correct. So, Flick has been around for about 12 years now, and I'll explain a little bit more about it, I'm sure, as we go through the questions. But we've primarily focused on the UK and Europe, because that's where the world of football really is centered, and we're based in England. We've always had a bit of a presence in the US, but we attended a fantastic event in Miami last November, and we got the opportunity. We felt we had the product now that we could actually take to the US audience. And having built the reputation and the brand in Europe, it felt the right time to get to the States. Certainly, as everybody listening knows, over the next 3 years, it's a hugely exciting time for soccer in the US. So it just felt, again, it was the pivotal moment for us, and thankfully 3 or 4 months after that trade event, we're pretty much we're flying at the minute. So we'll officially launch early April when we get the first products there. But we're interested in finding new partnerships with academies and clubs and different organizations in the States. So thankfully, so far so good.
Absolutely. It would have been nice to connect with you guys in person at SoccerX in Miami. I was there as well.
Yeah.
For our viewers, what is Flick?
Yeah, so Flick, so we're a football, soccer training equipment brand. So we would see ourselves as basically the pinnacle of soccer training equipment. And the unique thing about us is that we're the only brand in the world that has been scientifically validated. And that's across a couple of the different products that we have in our training range. So really, to be able to, as a CMO, and as a brand person, to be able to go out to the world with the message that we're the only soccer training equipment in the world that is proven to make you better. If you use our equipment, you will get better at three core aspects of the game. It's a fantastic message. So certainly that's the thing I think that sets us apart. And what started out as one product 12 years ago has now expanded into a range of about 40 to 50 different products. We create, design, manufacture soccer equipment that really brings children from 3 years old into the world of football through fun and imagination, with a few little fun products for them. And then they move into sort of more progressive training products, right up to the likes of Manchester City, whose first team have used our scientifically validated equipment. So we kind of span the whole career of a player, right from 3 years old right up to professional. So I think that's what makes us slightly different than a lot of other brands out there.
Amazing. I think it would be pretty cool if you guys could provide me with like a 30-second clip to play at the beginning of this video to showcase the products. I think I,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we
um,
can do that.
you guys have had success in the UK, and you guys are now planning to expand in the US for April, officially launch in April. Are there any other countries that you guys are in?
Yeah, so again, sort of in the last 12 months or so, we now have a full distribution partner for Australia. So people down under will be able to use our stuff now. I think they're actually there already. So we're starting to get that up and running. And then just at the start of this year, we announced a new partnership for MEA. So there's a distributor now based in Dubai who's going to look after Middle East for us. We've signed our first partnership with a Canadian academy as well, and we've recently signed with Sport Check, so hopefully a lot of Canadian customers will be able to see us there. So yeah, like I mean, we've got pretty good distribution now around the world, and then obviously we've got our direct consumer market as well. So I think to date we've sold to about 70 different countries, I think, across the world. But yeah, like we've had most of our success to date across the UK and Europe, but certainly in the last 12 months now, yeah, we're getting more and more customers, and we want to get our brand obviously in front of as many people as possible.
That's exciting. The You guys are on an international scale, expanding and the product selling everywhere. So that's amazing to hear. Um, with saying that, what product or what really made this company go viral in an aspect of the masses really wanted to engage with the products and buy the products? Was it a marketing advertisement of professional players using the products, or what was the key to the success?
Yeah, so I think that's probably the thing that's slightly different to us. So look, the reality is that, there's very few brands in the world can go and get a professional player to be an ambassador for their product, okay? Because it's the barrier to entry, the cost associated with that is pretty high, okay? And most brands can't do that. So I think, Flick came about because of a really genuine, authentic story about one of the two founders who wanted to create a product for his son. That he could use in the back garden because his son was playing at a pretty good level in England, was in the academy system, and the guy didn't have enough time to play with his son, so he decided, okay, well, he could see his son was kicking a ball against the wall and it was coming back, and like doesn't really keep your attention for very long. So he decided, look, we need to create something. Went out to try and find something that his son could use to train and improve his skills by himself in the back garden, and there wasn't anything in the market. So that was really the first product to come to market was what we call the Urban Skills Trainer. And it's kind of like you pass the ball up a ramp and it brings it back to you. And on the reverse of that, it's got a rebounder and it's got a little net in the middle to try and improve accuracy. So that was kind of the first product that came to market. And I guess the world of soccer had never seen anything like that. And I think that was just really what piqued the interest, and that's what the one product really launched, and it was there, had really good success for the first 2 or 3 years, and then really over the last 10 years, we've been building on that. Yeah, that identity that ran through that initial product, and we've been just trying to leverage that and build on the scientific validation. That was the very first product that had scientific validation. And we always try to produce things that are slightly different. So yes, we do have an extensive range of products, and some of those will be ones that other brands sell similar types of things. But we really focus on those core products that we own the global IP around and that people can't replicate, because that's what makes us different. And I think, certainly the conversations that we've been having across Europe over the last 10 years, that's translating now into the US market, where the pay to play system is very, very, it's very competitive for players to try and get the player development pathways are it seems like it's almost harder in the US for some reason, so I think, having a product and a brand that stands out and is different to the rest, I think is the thing that we're most excited about, and I think that'll hopefully allow us to take to the next level now.
Understood. So the father, who's the founder, consumer issue, found the problem, created a solution, and now you guys are worldwide. So that's amazing. I've heard a few entrepreneurs share that story as well. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the things that we don't we don't really shout enough about it, and I think it's one of those messages that sometimes can get lost when you start adding more and more products and people and all the stuff. I think that kind of foundation sometimes can get lost a bit. And it's one thing from as a as a head of marketing, as somebody who runs a team there, it's something that we have to remind ourselves about all the time. Not necessarily just with football, but just in general. We have to remember, what makes us us, what's our DNA, what is the story that people want to hear, because obviously we know what we want to tell people, but also there's a genuine authenticness to our brand, and I know that like all brands are trying to find that authenticity and try and find that point of difference. But I think when you really it is founded in why this business began, it's something that we need to really tell people, and it's certainly one of the key aspects that I think moving into a new market, be that the US or any other market, it's one of those things that people want to hear about, and it's the thing that we attach our brand to and we want to tell most people about.
100%. And that's why I appreciate you guys coming on your podcast to share the story. Um, with saying that, how many people do you manage in your marketing team?
So in my team, there's five of us at the minute, which doesn't sound very much, but I mean, we're kind of we're at the start of our journey, even though we've been going around now for 10 or 12 years. Certainly the last 6 to 12 months, I think, has probably felt the most exciting, and it's the most most ambitious that we have seen ourselves. So um my aspiration here is, having worked in agencies in the past and been client side, I guess, or been agency side and helped clients. My desire has always been to try to build a world class team within our brand. Now we will bring in experts and people when it's required, and we'll buy in talent as and when required. But certainly, as a team, we're as small as we'll ever be. This is what I always tell my team: we're as small as we're going to be right now, because this brand is going to get bigger. This business is going to get bigger. We are on a journey. So yeah, we have a quite well mapped out strategic plan for the next 3 years or so, which should see that team get substantially bigger, I would hope.
Absolutely. I mean, five people is already, a start. And what I'll ask you is, in regards to being a team player, managing these five people, what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you?
Um, well, for me personally, I would say the most difficult bit is the fact that I work remotely for Football Flick. So, the core team are based in an office about an hour from Manchester, in Preston in the UK. I'm based just outside Belfast. Um, so I think having that personal connection with being able to walk through an office and see and read the room and understand how somebody's feeling that day, that's definitely been a bit of a challenge. Now, I suppose I joined Flick, in the middle of COVID, or we were just coming out of COVID, so we were all used to working from home, which again, I suppose in one regard made the opportunity easier for me to take, and probably from a business and from my point of view, remote working didn't seem as weird as it would have been 6 or 7 years ago. We were used to it. But I do think that yeah, sometimes that personal connection, of course we have daily check-ins. I speak to my team, all of them, every day pretty much. But yeah, I go over to the office maybe once every month, and I enjoy those couple of days, probably the most of that month, where it's um yeah, you miss that little bit of connection. So I'd say, yeah, from a personal side, I think working remotely it's fine and it all works. Yeah, sometimes it can be a bit challenging.
For sure. As someone deeply involved in marketing and brand strategy, how do you see the role of branding evolving in the world of soccer? And what strategies has Football Flick employed to strengthen its brand presence?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting one for us as a brand, because we are, if we look specifically about probably why I'm talking to you and most of your audience, moving into a new territory such as the US, which, culturally is very different to where we've typically marketed to. The nuances are very different, but not just that, just the whole model of soccer there is very different for the US from where it has been here. Um, I think you really have to look deeply and understand, is the strategy that's worked for one territory or one demographic, is that really applicable to somewhere else? So I think what we've looked at, where's the opportunity here for us? The opportunity for us is to get right into the heart of our customers. So where we typically have used major retailers throughout Europe and the UK specifically, I think there's an opportunity to tell our story directly with our customer, and have a much deeper connection with them. So certainly a big focus for us will be direct consumer, and trying to deploy different marketing strategies. As we've got bigger as a brand, we can't rely on product marketing to product 40 or 50 different products. We just don't have the capacity or the resources to do that. So 2 years ago we decided that we were going to be a more brand led business, and again, and put creativity really at the heart of what we do as a brand. We make this fantastic soccer equipment, but using creativity to answer all the problems that go along with every business. We've really, really doubled down, I would say, on that. So yeah, I think just understanding which strategies are going to work right for us over the next couple of years, I think has been a really, really important thing for us as a business, I would say.
For sure. I've watched, a few. There's a guy, I forgot his name exactly. It was Brendan. I forgot his last name, but he's an expert in marketing, and he got 1 million followers in 30 days, and he wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to one of his interviews, and he was just saying, like, companies post 70 times in a day, or, using one piece of content and changing it 50 million different times and posting it in different ways and different thumbnails and all these different things that you could do during marketing. And I've done just to a small scale of that. Are you guys applying these same techniques as well? Are you guys posting multiple times a day? Are you guys using the same content in various different ways as well?
Yeah, so again, like that, yeah, it's a really interesting one. And it's a big conversation that we've been having as a team. So I think we got to a we got pretty decent following on social, but again, the business was kind of built up when Facebook and these guys, the algorithms allowed you to try to very quickly grow. That was what they were there to do, was to try to encourage you to get as many followers as possible. So we do have pretty good social followings. I think, as a team, you can sometimes feel like you're banging your head against the wall because you put out what you think is good quality content. But if it's not good quality content in the eyes of those people that follow you, nobody cares. So I think we were, maybe 18 months ago, we were putting a lot of time and effort into creating a lot of content. And we weren't getting the return from it, not even just not from a sales and perspective, but just in terms of, you know, if you're the person that's created that content and you're posting it on behalf of a brand, there's still a person behind that post, right? And if that post doesn't go well, it hurts, and I think as a team, we kind of got stuck in that a little bit. So we kind of took a step back and decided, what we need to do? We need to focus on a couple of core things. So why don't we write one or two blogs a week? Okay, because we have really good knowledge of soccer. We know the players, we know culturally what's happening. We're in football, we're in soccer, so we know this industry. So let's make a couple of blogs, spend a bit of time researching those, putting those out, and really focus on those. And then from there, you get that cascading effect. So you've got your long form blog content, which can then be chopped up into three other email bits of content, which can then be posted on social. So focus on one quality piece of content and then figure out how you can carve that up into lots and lots of smaller bite-sized bits that you can revisit in a month's time and things. So we focused on that a little bit more, and look, we have aspirations to have our own podcast. We want to be doing this stuff because you're going to get half an hour's footage from this, which then you can chop up and you can use for other things, sound bites. So I think being a little bit more clever about the way that we've been doing stuff, is certainly as we grow is gonna really really help. But it's so hard to keep on top of algorithms, and we can't be on everywhere. We are only a small team. We can't make content for everybody out there. So, we're focusing on 4 or 5 key aspects over the next 12 to 18 months, and hopefully, those things work for us.
Absolutely. Look, if you guys need someone to come in for consulting to help set that up, help you guys find someone, I could definitely help assist with that. As I have a pretty good blueprint, I think. Um,
Perfect.
with saying that, football like has a global reach, selling in over 70 plus countries. Could you share some insights into the challenges and opportunities you've encountered when expanding your market international?
Yeah, so I think certainly, even um, if we look maybe in the last 3 to 4 years, it has been challenging. I think the biggest challenge for us, when I was reading when you sent through the questions, the first thing that I thought of was, the obvious things like language barriers. Okay, it's hard doing that. Um, but not just that. I mean, for us, I think we manufacture all our own products, so we manufacture that. We are the brand and we sell it. So, trying to keep those costs under control have been a serious problem, a really, really hard problem. And I look, everybody around the world suffers from the cost of living and the price of things now, and just getting out of bed seems to cost more money these days than it did before. So, we have tried to manage that as much as we possibly can. We believe we make the best equipment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be the most expensive. We're not a brand like that either. But I think, the challenge around manufacturing this at a cost that, from a business sense, can work. And then just getting that product to different locations around the world when shipping routes are more volatile than ever. Import taxes, duties, all of these things, that just come with actually manufacturing and selling something in another country at big volumes. That is challenging. Now we do have in-house logistics and operations team that thankfully thankfully I don't have to get involved in that. They let me do the marketing, because when I do start to get involved in that, I'm like, wow, those guys have a much harder job than I do. But I think just balancing that cost and the stock and the pricing strategies that then have to go into everywhere. How much is our cost per acquisition for every customer for our direct consumer channels versus our wholesale model versus our club model? There's a lot of stuff to try and work out there, which you hope doesn't get in the way of us just wanting as many people as possible to use our equipment, because we fundamentally believe it is going to improve their chances of not necessarily becoming a professional soccer player, because a very, very tiny percentage of people that play soccer will ever get near that, but just allowing them to develop to get to the best that they can be as the player. And maybe that's not a professional, maybe that's just that they work in football, or they play at a fairly high level. That's all that we want, is to try and help and encourage people to be as good as they can be if they love soccer.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great thing. That's a great value. It's oh my gosh, I can't even talk. That's a great value that you guys are providing to the players. These are products that I wish that I had when growing up to use. I remember kicking the ball against the wall. That was fun in itself. But now, the day and age that we're living in, there's an abundance of equipment, technologies, and tech to for the player even at the lowest level to be using and accessing, especially with cameras now and capturing content. Streamlining players for parents to watch up online from home or work or in different countries if they're not in the same country as their grandchildren. So it's such amazing times that we're living in.
Yeah, like, and I think, we're one of those brands that, we're very, very aware that technology has a really important role to play. Certainly, and again, this is something that we've seen probably more so in the US, around player ID and talent ID. It feels like here in the UK, the better players naturally rise to the top. You don't have to you just have to be good, and there is a sense that you will be scouted and you will be found. Whereas I guess just the US is so much bigger. There's a clear emphasis on that player to promote themselves, to show to scouts and that type of stuff. So I think, look, technology plays a hugely important role in that. Where we come in into that is that we make the physical products. So yes, how far you've run, what your VO2 max is, what your positioning was, all that type of stuff. But if you are not good at the core elements of soccer, a lot of that doesn't necessarily matter because you need to learn that ball mastery. You need those core skills at a very early age in order to have any chance of getting up to that top. So I understand now why kids at 6 and 7 are going around with their cameras and they've got their apps that track how far they've done and what their pass percentage rates and stuff are. And I guess, the exciting thing for us is that we are going to move into that area at some point in the next couple of years. We have our pro range at the minute, but we see at least one tier above and beyond that. So hopefully in 2024 we'll be able to announce some really exciting, more technology based things around our brand. So it's hard to avoid that, but again, we always just like to get back to the basics of, okay, well, what's the best equipment that I can buy, that I can use in my club, that I can then use in my home as well. Because that's a huge element for us, is the train at home market. And I think it's underutilized in the US compared to here in the UK, and we've kind of created and dominated that market here. So that's where we think that we can add most value in the US as well.
For sure. In regards to marketing, Barry, like on different social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, what platforms are you guys using, and are you seeing, what platforms giving you the best ROI?
So for us right now, we're actually using YouTube Shorts really well at the minute. So I mean, again, that's more of a strategic thing. So we want our YouTube channel to grow because we think that kind of longer form content. We've got a huge educational piece around us as a brand and us as our equipment. So we think that long form content is super important. But in order to get the followers for that longer term content, we need to use shorts. So we've been using shorts strategically now for about the last 6 months or so, and started to get really good results on that. Now we're hardly in the big numbers on followers and stuff, but again, I think as long as your expectations are managed and that that particular social channel is going to take a lot of time, resource, and effort to get to where you want to be, um, we're focusing on that. We'll continue with Instagram. So we use Instagram quite a lot, and I think we'll continue to use that. We see that kind of reels have done pretty well for us. And then I think the one that we haven't really cracked yet, and we're not really exactly sure why, but we haven't got there with TikTok yet, and I think we've been slugging away with that for years. I think it's difficult for brands in a position like ours where we're kind of caught in the middle, where we can't afford big influencers to go and produce content for us, but then also people don't necessarily want to hear from a brand all the time. So we're missing that personality, we're missing that person to do that. So again, I think the big part about that is that we know what we need to improve on, and we know which areas we want to get better at, and we have a plan now that we will get better at those. But yeah, I'd say for now, Instagram and YouTube, particularly shorts, have worked for us, and that'll kind of get us to where we need to for the time being. And we also have then, like I said earlier on, around blogs. So we put a lot of effort into our blogs, and they drive a lot of traffic, organic traffic to our site. And we've seen really, really good success now from them. So again, strategically, how do we write those from an SEO perspective rather than just writing what we think people want to hear? We research what are people talking about, what events are coming up, and then we write blogs around that. So it's a bit more of a strategic SEO kind of marketing tactic, I guess.
Yeah, maybe you could share some tips with us in regards to blogs. You know, how do you get a blog to work? Is it just a post on your website and that's it, or like what goes on behind?
Yeah, so I guess so what we do is, so we typically we will. research what keywords are trending at a certain moment. So again, I suppose being in the middle of soccer, we know what's coming up and typically what's going to be trending. So for instance, start of the MLS season last week, typically about a month before that, we know that that's happening. So we would typically research, find out what are people talking about around preseason or what's likely to happen. What are the first fixtures? Everybody likes to know where are you going to watch the first match, what time's it on, what channel's it on, that type of thing. So um, we do that, and we do that about a month before we know that an event's happening because we've seen this. Some of our most successful blogs around the Ballon d'Or and about other kind of big events in world soccer. Um, we write knowing that they will become big at the time that that event is being talked about and people are searching around that. So we put a good bit of effort into the research of those blogs, post those about a month before, and then we carve that up. So we then send that out to our email database as a weekly blog. And then we put that out onto social media, usually clip that into maybe 2 or 3 different reels and stories, trying to drive people to that blog section. But again, like we're very much from a strategic point of view, it depends on the time of year. So, we're a brand that wants to add value is where we can. So it's not all about here are the products that we sell and here's how they're going to make you a better footballer. We kind of tell people that enough, and they also come to our website and research that enough, and hopefully they use it in their club or academy. So we try and find other things that are interesting around soccer just in general, and be that MLS or Bundesliga or whatever it is around soccer. But yeah, blogs have worked particularly well for us. Never spent a single dollar promoting blogs or anything, buying backlinks, nothing like that, and it drives significant volume and viewers to our site for free.
That's pretty cool to learn. That's yeah, I learned something new today. With saying that, one thing I took away from this, let me know if I'm on the right point here, is that yeah, you guys have the Flick brand and Flick content, but you also have to leverage the other events that are going on and what things people are talking about to also bring attention back to Flick. So yeah, that makes sense, and it's something I've thought about for ourselves as well. Um, in your role, you probably work closely with a lot of soccer clubs and academies. What
Yeah.
strategies have you found most effective in establishing and maintaining partnerships in soccer industry?
Well, I think first and foremost, the only way that you can get any kind of partnership with a club or an academy is if you have good equipment. So I think that that's the foundation for what we are. We provide very, very good soccer training equipment. Um, and I think, we've been fortunate enough to have pretty significant Premier League teams use our equipment, which of course, if you think of that halo effect, that's the best of the best. So if we're talking to a soccer mom and saying like you should buy our product, and they say why, and you say, well, it's good enough for Premier League players, is it not good enough for your son or daughter? So I think you get that halo effect from doing that. um I think the challenge is that there are so many clubs and academies that you can't be everywhere, you can't be everything to everyone. And again, any of those partnerships that we have with major Premier League clubs or major academies, we're not we're not buying our way into those. Okay, so again, from as a marketing tactic, we could go and sponsor or become an equipment provider for somebody, and pay for that privilege, but we haven't. We've just never done that. We've just believed that we have the best products that the best players should use, and that then children and parents and coaches should also buy into. So I think, getting doors opened into clubs is always tricky, is always hard. But again, I think that's where we leverage our brand. And I think, we have a good reputation in the world of soccer now. Hopefully more and more people will will come to us. Again, I think as a young brand, you find yourself doing a lot of outreach and trying to open those doors. Whereas I think we've kind of turned a corner recently where we have people approaching us and asking us for partnerships and offering things to us. So I think that's a good sign, obviously. So yeah, maintaining those relationships is hard. We've now brought on somebody within the business again who is a partnership manager. So she looks after those relationships and manages those because again, the chase sometimes is the hard bit, and it's the thrilling part about trying to get that deal over the line or get that partnership in place and everybody's high-fiving and it's all great. And 2 months later it's like, have you sent them the assets? Have they got the equipment? Have they provided us with the content? Have they done this? And you're like, well, no, they haven't done that and we haven't done this. And then the partnership can, you only get what you put out into those partnerships. I think we've definitely seen that. Nobody's going to be knocking our door down saying, can we send you more videos and imagery of our players using your equipment? It's like we have to ask for that stuff. We have to maintain that. So again, as we build the business, those kind of partnership managers are absolutely critical to us, and we've now employed the first person to look after that. So I think that's going to be critical over the next couple of months and hopefully over the next few years as well.
Yeah, that's a whole job in itself. So
Yeah.
glad you guys have someone for that. We need someone like that for sure. I mean, wearing many hats, it's hard to keep track.
It
Um,
is.
with your extensive experience in marketing, what trends or changes in consumer behaviors do you see affecting the way soccer products and services are marketed in the future?
Well, yeah, I don't even know if this is specific to soccer or not, but I think people have more choice than ever before. Now they have more access to more information at an easier, faster way than we've ever known before. So people have probably made their mind up about whether they want to buy our products before they've even come onto our website, never mind what position they're in the consideration phase or anything like that. So I think, just trying to be front of mind as much as possible in the consumer's mind is the trickiest bit for us. I think because there's so much noise in the world of soccer and because there's so much choice out there certainly when it comes to equipment, I think that's where we just have to always go back to our starting point, which is we're the only product in the world that has been independently verified to make you better at soccer. And as long as we are the only people that have that, that is the thing that we'll have to keep coming back to. And it's our North Star, I guess, for want of a better word. That is the thing for us. So I think, trends will come and go. Marketing trends will come and go. We could talk probably for an hour about AI, about how we could start to use AI in our business. And we've tried it. And is it going to make us better? Who knows? But I think, those core marketing strategies and core marketing elements will always be consistent. We have an amazing product at a good price that customers want, and if they want it and they want the next one, then there'll always be another one as well. So yeah, I think all those marketing trends and strategies and things come and go, but I think as long as we stay true to ourselves and tell people our story, I think that authenticity will win long term.
Yep, 100%. Um, you guys are moving into the US at the right time. This is like perfect timing. You got Copa America in June, the 2026 World Cup in the next 2 years, maybe a FIFA Women's World Cup. It's exciting times. There's going to be a lot of attention, a lot of eyes on the US. With saying that, my last question is, what do you see for the future of football flick?
um So I see us in the next maybe 3 to 5 years really cementing ourselves as the world's best football training equipment. Like that's the number one for us. I think we're on our way there. But it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be challenging. Um I see us, I think as long as we always stay true to that product that we bring, that product that we bring to the clubs and coaches and parents, um, I think we'll do okay. So I think we have big ambitions, certainly for the immediate next sort of 12 to 18 months. So again, we'll be back in Miami in November again at SoccerX. We'll be in Amsterdam at SoccerX. at that event with them as well in May time. We'll continue to find new partnerships across the US and across other territories. We'll continue to find new distributors around the world. And I think it's right now it's about building on the past 10 years experience and then really taking that to the most people that we've ever tried to get in front of. And that means more people, more equipment, more money, more partners, all of that really good stuff, which I think is the most exciting part. And certainly from a marketing position, building a team of experts in certain areas within our brand, I think is really the most exciting. It's a challenging part, but it's a really hugely exciting thing for a CMO to really be given, you know, the free rein to go and try and build this team and hopefully build this brand into one that really does leave a lasting impression, and that people understand that we are here to try and help improve players become the best that they can be, and we have the proof, we have the science to prove it.
Amazing. Well, Barry, was there anything that I didn't ask that you want to add in here?
No, Cream. I think you've nailed all the questions there. I just thank you so much for inviting me on. I hope you and all the stuff that you're doing at One Soccer Nation goes the way that you guys want it. I know it's a hugely exciting time for you. So thanks very much for coming on there. Yes, and look, as I say, we'll continue to do what we're doing, and hopefully at some point, some of your listeners will start seeing some football flick equipment at their local academy or in their local Walmart or wherever it's going to be.
Awesome. Well, can you plug in where everyone can find Football Flick?
Yep, I can do that, no problem at all. So at the minute, the best thing to do is to just go directly to our website. We've got a full partners page there, so anybody can find their retailers. So if you're in the US, you can go to soccerflick.com. Everywhere else in the world where it's called football, you can go to footballflick.com.
Awesome. Guys, we'll have everything linked down in the description. Barry, thank you so much for taking the time for being on the One Soccer Nation podcast.
Thanks, Kareem.